Hello everybody, good morning and welcome to the United Stand. It's decision day, it's deal day. Is it going to be deal day though? We'll find out, because of course this is the day that we hear that there is going to be a deadline from Qatar. They will walk away from a Manchester United sale if they don't receive a positive outcome today. How much do you believe that? There are updates coming in relation to what is going on with the sale. We're talking about that. Also, Manchester United have received a big transfer boost in relation to Harry Kane, with Real Madrid now out of that race, according to reports from Spain. And also another Harry Maguire, just coming in the last few minutes, refusing to leave Manchester United, reluctant to leave Manchester United, feels that his race at Manchester United is not over. There's lots of jokes about that, I suppose. But it just goes back to what we've been talking about for the last few weeks. Ambitious players will not leave United. It's a cushy ride. You're on good money. You live off the brand. And look, are you surprised? I didn't think Maguire would be pushing a move. I think he lacks ambition. You are fourth choice centre-back, Harry, and you're going to sit and earn your money at United. It's silly stubbornness. And this is the problem that Ten Hag has. When you've got players that lack motivation and just want to stay here and have on a free meal ticket. But we'll talk about that in a bit as well. Robert McCormack misses Ireland. I do as well. It was absolutely fantastic. Which reminds me, actually, the biggest news of the day is, if you remember, you will get the first half of our 2-hour tour show that we did on Tuesday night. That'll be going up on the members section this afternoon. So it's a lovely treat for you on a Friday afternoon that you get to watch the entirety of our tour show. Part 1 is coming out today, so watch out for that, members. But let's fly into what is the big news today. Love the content, keep it up, says Joshua. Thank you very much. So look, let me just give you a little bit of a backdrop to this. It was a couple of days ago that it came out that the final bid had come in from Qatar. We still don't know what that value of that bid is. Some people are saying it's 5 billion. Pretty sure the first bid was around 5 billion and the third bid was 5.5 billion, but apparently this one's 5 billion. I don't know what the bid is from Qatar. I don't think anybody knows what Al Thani is bidding, to be honest with you. Billy's just gifted a membership, but what we do know is from Mike Keegan on Friday and a few other outlets, they were saying that basically Al Thani and Qatar have put in place a Friday deadline, which is today, for the Glazers to either accept their bid or they will walk away. Will they walk away? Is it a final bid, or is it just more elongation, drama, and ultimate irritation for United fans, where we wake up tomorrow morning and actually we're in the same position that we are now, where we don't know who's going to buy Man United and it's still up in the air. If Qatar doesn't get the takeover, fans are burning down Carrington and Old Trafford. If Glazers know what's good, Qatar will be announced as new owners, says Victor. Well, I think there's a bit of an interesting update coming in from Ben Jacobs, actually. One of many journalists that have had their things to say on the deal over the while. I mean, at this point, I don't know whether you can call a journalist credible or incredible, or uncredible, because I just think there's so much floating around there. I'll tell you what, though, a bit of breaking news. I nearly forgot about this. Forget Ben Jacobs for a minute and listen to Mark Goldbridge for a minute. Absolutely, this was. So last night we did a show, and it was a good show last night, and I basically said that my feeling is that United fans have been scammed, and Al Thani's been scammed, and that the Glazers never wanted to sell Manchester United, and there was never an option of a full sale. It was just about trying to get the best investment, and Sir Jim has offered the best investment, and the Glazers would have took Qatari investment, but they never wanted to leave. So I was saying last night, this is all a big scam. We were never for sale, because the Glazers never really wanted to sell the whole club. They just wanted investors to come in and allow them to stay. Tony, welcome to the Members Club. So, no word of a lie. Let me just read this super chat. Mark, do you actually think the Glazers will feel any pressure from the Qatar deadline? No, I don't, Ray. I think that's a good question. Jordan, welcome to the Members Club as well. Stuart, really not surprised about Maguire. We're going to talk about that in a bit, mate. And Andre, welcome to the Members Club as well. So I said yesterday, last night, that I think that this is all a big scam, and I think many of you would agree with me that we were never for sale in a full sale. They always wanted investment. So last night after the show, I'm sat there having a bottle of Bud, chilling out in the hot tub. I wasn't in the hot tub. I don't want to get you all fantasy. But I was in the back garden having a beer. Phone pings. Can you give me a ring? Gave him a ring. Quite a prominent journalist that we've done stuff with before. And they've been pretty decent around the sale. and they said, I saw that clip on Twitter about what you said about United scam. And they basically said you're probably not far off. However, what you should bear in mind is the Glazers would have sold. And I said, well, what do you mean? He said, well, effectively you're right. The Glazers always wanted investment. So therefore they'll do the deal with Sir Jim because they want investment. And they would have done that deal with Qatar if Qatar just wanted investment. But obviously Qatar want a full sale. And Sir Jim's happy to do investment. And that's what the Glazers want. However, what you don't realise is the Glazers would have sold the whole club if nobody was offering them investment. So if Sir Jim wasn't offering investment and it was just a full sale, they'd either have to go with the Elliott Group or the Carlisle Group, which they've never really been interested in, or they'd have to sell to Sir Jim and Al Thani. And basically what they said to me last night is that really, if Sir Jim was adamant he only wants all of the club, like Al Thani, I think the Glazers would have had to sell because they're the two best bidders. But ultimately, Sir Jim is offering them what they want, which is investment. And if Qatar was offering them investment, they'd probably take that as well. So really, we have been scammed. But ultimately, they need money, the Glazers. And if nobody had been offering them investment, they would have had to sell. So, yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, if Sir Jim had just stuck to the original plan of buying the whole club, we might be in a better position. Zeus, welcome to the Members Club. Abik as well. Hope you're okay, says Dylan, and I hope they announce the sale of the club tomorrow just as the Champions League final is happening. Full sale open, says Dylan. Well, it'd be great if we find out tonight that Sir Jim's going to keep the Glazers in place and then City win the treble tomorrow. It could be the worst weekend in bloody ages from a football point of view, couldn't it? But look, let me just go back to this update that's actually out there in the news for you. I think I just flashed it up on the screen. So this coming in from Ben Jacobs. I mean, I don't know at this stage. I just don't know. But all signs point to the fact that the Glazers are actually getting both groups to get deep into this process. And if the green light goes ahead for one of them, they'll be in a position, transactionally speaking, to move as fast as possible. I mean, what does that actually mean? I mean, it could mean everything. It could mean nothing. Welcome to the Members Club, Viknesh. It really could mean nothing. And it could mean everything. So effectively, they're dealing with Qatar, they're dealing with Ineos, but it doesn't make sense from a business. I've got to say, this doesn't make sense to me from a business point of view. If you're selling your house, why double your legal fees and double your work selling it to two people and then saying at some point I'm going to pick one of you? Jan, welcome to the Members Club. You know what I mean? It doesn't. If you're selling your car on your drive, why go through double the negotiations? The reason people don't sell to two people is because it's easier to sell to one when you've made your choice. Anthony, welcome to the Members Club. Thank you. So I don't that you could read that as quite a positive update because Al Thani's still in the race. But why spend so much time negotiating deeply with two prospective buyers? Why? One, because maybe because you're not sure. Maybe because you're playing one against the other. And we are dealing with the Glazers here, so you've got to go with the cynical answer. I would say if we're deeply negotiating with two of them, one of them's for a full sale, one of them's for a partial sale. They haven't made their mind up yet. They're still hoping that the values are going to go up. But it just shows you what it does show you is what we've been hearing for weeks about this sale. It's an embarrassment. In the business industry, it's deemed an embarrassment yet again. It's funny with United, isn't it? Whenever it comes to anything that involves negotiations, we are deemed a circus. Transfers, other clubs, agents see us as jokers, and that's why they always take the piss. And in the sale of this football club, we are seen as jokers as well. This is not how proper business people behave when they're selling something. You don't string two people along. You don't keep putting in new deadlines. You don't keep allowing new bids. You have some clarity. And the reality is, from a business point of view, United have handled this terribly. But what do you expect? We've got terrible owners. Nikki and Rich, thanks very much. Welcome to the Members Club. They'd never do the decent thing and put us fans out our misery. So Jim is the enemy of the club in my eyes, says Declan. I'm just fed up of it all. We will stick with this story and not having the ability to look forward what should be an important transfer window, says Big Dave. Glazers are going to go with Sir Jim. And with this Jacobs news, they're trying to squeeze every last drop out of Sir Jim by saying they're also talking to Qatar, says the Killer Man. Yeah, I sort of agree with you on that because there is a further update as well from Ben Jacobs, and it goes on to say this. that there has been what I understand to be in-depth conversations and direct conversations between the Glazers and the 9-2 Foundation, which is obviously Qatar, as well as Sir Jim. And again, I would say, what does that actually add to the story today? It just feels like where we were in January and February and March and twice in April and 3 times in May. We are not getting any more clarity. My suspicion is that we're being scammed. My suspicion is that they're going to go with Sir Jim. My suspicion is that they were actually negotiating with Sir Jim way before November, and ultimately that is what is going to happen, and that's not going to be beneficial for the future of Manchester United. If the Glazers do not sell and it's found out they never had real intention to, is that stock manipulation? Could it be investigated? No, Tim, because the statement that they put out back in November was very, very clear that they were looking at all options. Including investment. So as long as they don't sit back and do nothing, which they won't, there will be no problem with stock manipulation. Hi Mark, any news on who will be United's new number 7? Says Jan. No, not expecting any, unless you know something I don't know. And but Jan thinks it should be Garnacho. Tony says, Mark, if you had the wealth of Qatar, would you just do what the Glazers want and give them the 6 billion? Says Tony. Tony, I've said this many, many times before. On what page, on what source, on what planet do you have information that the Glazers would take 6 billion? I think it's a myth. I'm happy to answer this. I think it's a complete and utter myth that they will sell the club for 6 billion. Colin says, if a full sale is off the table and the Glazers want to stay, maybe Al-Thani has organised a partial sale too. Anything to win, says Colin. I don't think they would do that. Being scammed and another crap transfer window incoming, says David. Worried Ten Hag could go if he's not backed. And XX Red Devil, thanks for joining the members club. Lots of people joining the members club today, obviously probably because they want to watch the tour video that is coming out this afternoon. And if the Glazers were going to accept Sir Jim Ratcliffe bin, then why would they have dragged it out? Could be using Sir Jim to get more out of Qatar, says Ben. The reason I don't think 6 billion is the magic number, somebody just said that, because basically, by all accounts, Sir Jim is valuing the club at 5.5 billion. And you would imagine that Qatar will match 5.5 billion. But Glazers will probably choose Sir Jim because it allows them to stay. Why do people think 6 billion is the magic number? 6 billion compared to 5.5 billion is another 500 million. 500 million between 6 siblings is less than 100 million each. So everybody obsessed with this 6 billion, it's only another 100 million for each of those siblings. It's not, which is a lot of money to you and me, but to them, when they're walking away with about 1 billion each, 100 million, it's not really enough to go, ooh, that's enough for us to walk away. I think it's a myth that Qatar gives 6 billion and that makes them walk away from Sir Jim. The attraction of Sir Jim is they still get loads of money and they still get to keep the club. I have a funny feeling we won't do business this summer on transfers and the sale will go on until September, says Jack. Well, 100% you're wrong. We will be signing players this summer. And how do you think the fans will realistically react and what action will be taken if the Glazers remain? I think it could be a breaking point, says Kieran. I'm not going to pretend that I'm tapped into what the fans' reaction is going to be if Sir Jim gets the club, but I think it's a really intelligent question, and I think what will happen is there will be a huge PR spin, the like we've never seen. If Sir Jim gets hold of the club and the Glazers stay, there'll be a PR spin that you've never witnessed. You will have pictures of a new stadium that will make your mouth drop. There'll be state of the art. This is what we're going to do to Old Trafford. But it's a picture. It's not a reality. It's like looking at a field and saying we're going to build, the best house ever. It's a picture. So you'll get pictures like that. They'll spend over 200 million this summer. They'll talk about we're gonna take the treble back from Man City, like the Glazers have for the last 18 years. We can do things in the market others can't do. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. You'll just get spun massively. And hopefully it will come true, but ultimately it probably won't. So I personally think that protests and everything like that, as a prediction, I don't think they'll ever be as big as they were for the Super League or, what we've seen this season. And I think it will probably die out a little bit like it did when the Glazers bought us in the first place. There was a few fans there at the time who saw it coming, and there was a lot of fans that didn't. And I think, again, apathy will probably come back, because as long as the results on the pitch are good, it might not be. I mean, I might be completely wrong on that. I mean, I certainly won't stop being vocal about the fact that I think it's a disgrace that the Glazers stay, but you don't know what the vast majority are going to do, and we will certainly have a massive amount of spin. I think Sir Jim will reach out to the same old fan groups as well, and we'll do this for this, and we'll do that for you, and we'll do this for you, and ultimately it's about winning friends, isn't it? And then divide and conquer. I mean, the Glazers have been doing it for years. Sir Jim's not going to not do it. You divide the fan base and you conquer the fan base, and that's what'll happen. And ultimately, in 5 years' time, we'll know whether it was a massive mistake or not. Bid 7.5 billion, £5.7, says Rajesh. Nobody actually knows what the bid is at the moment for Manchester United. But look, as I said, you can't ignore the fact that the enormity is that today, through not reported by fans, reported by the media, was that today is a deadline set by Qatar for Manchester United. There will be updates today. I suspect there'll be something coming in around 8 o'clock from Mike Keegan in the Daily Mail. There'll probably be something from 6 o'clock in the Telegraph or the Independent. There will be updates this evening in relation to what's going on. What that update will be, as a prediction, Al Thani has received positive feedback from the Glazers and feels that he's still in the race and is going to continue down the road. I think that's what will happen. I don't think we'll get anything definitive. Why do I get reminded of Robotnik from Sonic when looking at Avram Glazer? Very good, Slow Sports News. Very good. I like that. It's a circus, Mark. I've unfollowed club on all socials and boycotting until then, says Lloyd. Hi, Mark. What do you think the Glazers' realistic chances are, says Raygard. Personally, I'd probably say less than 30% at the moment. What do you think the Glazers have entertained Qatari? Full sale was never an option. There must be a fee point which makes them sell, says Jacob. Well, Jacob, you're not wrong. But what if I said to you they're entertaining Qatar to keep Sir Jim on his toes? What if Qatar are just a decoy? If I'm selling my house and I know I'm selling it to one person, but somebody else wants it and they keep bidding, I can keep manipulating this person. Mark, maybe Glazers want to stay, thinking Super League is still a chance. Exactly, George. Mark, a carrot has been dangled and taken away. Glazers and Sir Jim won't be forgiven. Please, God, Qatar, says Nick. And hi, Mark, why is this takeover taking ages when in fact Chelsea takeover was much faster with the same Rain Group involved, says Samir. But Rain Group are just an estate agents. Rain Group haven't got the decision. The Glazers have got the decision. You can't blame the Rain Group here because they are told by the Glazers what to do, and the Glazers don't really know what they're doing. So, look, let's wait and see. It's meant to be an important day. It's meant to be decision day. It's meant to be walk away day. I think by the end of today, we'll have a definitive answer on whether the Glazers are selling to Qatar or whether Qatar are willing to carry on or whether they're going to walk away. Do I trust it? No. I think we've been down this road too many times, but let's wait and see. They're playing ultimate game of who can we string along in the longest. Both have been played like a fiddle by the Glazers. Karma is coming for the Glazers, says Ron. And congratulations to Fozzie on his renewal. Have to get yourself to a Wrexham game next season, Mark, says Joshua. Oh, it's been announced, Hazard. I knew it was going to happen, but I didn't know when they were going to announce it. I'll have a look at that later. Manchester United are finishing a proposal to sign Costa from Porto, says... Portuguese. No. I just don't do that. I don't do that. No. I don't believe that at all. Not that I'm bothered if it does. Just a bit of breaking news from Talk Sport. Liverpool want to sign Nice midfielder Thuram as their next signing. They're also exploring a move for under-21 international Manu Kone from Borussia Mönchengladbach. I mean, what the fuck are United doing? I mean, it's almost like a cheaper version, but what the fuck are Man United doing? Like, you've got Casido and Rice potentially going to Arsenal. And now you've got Kone and Thuram potentially going to Liverpool. Like, what are we actually doing? You know what? If Kone and Thuram go to Liverpool and Casido and Rice go to Arsenal and we buy fucking Rabiot, I'm sorry, You can like Rabiot as much as you want, but are Liverpool in for Rabiot? Are Arsenal in for Rabiot? No. Are Man City in for Rabiot? No. So why the fuck are we in for Rabiot? Like, what are we doing? As a football club, what are we doing with our midfield? Which means, I said this to somebody when I was out in Dublin the other night. I said, take Casemiro out our midfield. Have we got a good midfield? And they started going on about Bruno and Eriksen. And I said, no. Have we got a good midfield if you take Casemiro out? And they were like, in an hour. And I said, no, we haven't. We haven't. We've got the same midfield we had last year with a free agent in Christian Eriksen. It's McFred again. We are Casemiro away from catastrophe. You've got Liverpool buying people like McAllister. They want Thuram and they want Kane. And you've got Arsenal trying to sign Caicedo and Rice. And what are we doing? I don't want to say this, but the warning is Mourinho. Mourinho finished second. They didn't do anything in the summer. And he was sacked by Christmas because Liverpool and everyone else went past us. We cannot stand still. We've got to move in this bloody transfer window. And Mason Mount's not a defensive midfielder. Paul Guthrie, welcome to the Members Club. You're a legend. Hi, Mark. United Stand is posting a lot of news on Twitter related to the sale of the club, but none of them seem reliable. Can United Stand communicate news only from journalists who are related to the club, says Mohit. Well, that's not something we've always done. We're an aggregator on Twitter, mate. We're not going to change what we've done for the last 7 years. Welker, George says, George has gifted 10 memberships. What a legend George is. Matthew Hill, thank you for joining as well. We know Sir Jim, Tim says, we know Sir Jim and the Glazers will spend this year to pacify very pissed off fans. After that, they'll penny pinch. Do you think Ten Hag will leave fearing he'll be handcuffed, says Tim? Well, I don't think Ten Hag will stay at a football club that doesn't match his ambition, but I think it's too early to start predicting stuff like that, definitely. Sean, welcome to the Members Club. And Paul says, clip this. If we don't get decent targets, we'll finish 6th next season. Paul, I don't even think that that's a hot take. I don't even think that's a controversial take. I think that look, we'll see what happens with the sale. I think we've spoken enough about it, and ultimately we are just going around the world of uncertainty. We know it's decision day. We know it's meant to be something today. Let's see if something happens today. Let's move on to transfers because Paul makes a good point. We've said it many times over the last few days. This transfer window cannot be neglected. There is not much of a gap between Arsenal, Manchester United, Liverpool, Chelsea and Newcastle. You can look at the league table and say that there is, but I don't think there's a massive gap. I think if you took Man City out of this league, we'd have a really, really competitive title race next year. Arsenal overexceeded, Man United overexceeded, Newcastle overexceeded, and Chelsea and Liverpool underachieved. It's a fresh page next season. Transfers will dictate how they go. We know Klopp's capable of taking that Liverpool team back. Pochettino at Chelsea has the resources. Arsenal have to build on what they've done. Newcastle will build on what they've done. Manchester United are the uncertainty. If you get it wrong, you won't just go from 3rd to 4th, you'll go from 3rd to 6th. Paul's right. Because if Liverpool, Chelsea improve and Newcastle improve, it's Man United who drop down the league. So we have to be good in this transfer window, of course we do. And it worries me when I see Liverpool going after McAllister, Thuram and Kane really, really quickly. And they'll probably get all three for under 100 million. That's the terrifying thing. They'll probably get all three for £100 million and they've just rejuvenated their midfield. What are we doing? Like, what are we doing again? We've got fucking idiots who negotiate. That's what we're doing. Haller, welcome to the Members Club. City are in for Kovacic as well. Everybody's making logical moves. Good point, Mihirville. Great show as always, Mark. This is part of my morning routine, says Alex. Well, thanks everyone who's tuning in. I want to talk about if Sir Jim gets the club, winning the league would not be possible, says Joe. And if Sir Jim Radcliffe thinks he will buy the Glazers out in a few years, when Qatar can't now, he's crazy. The reality is in 3 or 4 years, this could all happen again, says Jono. And Michael Wright, welcome to the Members Club. And FIFA Crazy says, United are reportedly still negotiating with Chelsea for Mount. I thought we were meant to be walking away. Why aren't we looking at other targets, says FIFA Crazy. Because only benefit of Sir Jim Radcliffe was potentially Thuram. Yeah, well, Sir Jim Radcliffe owns Nice and he's going to do a deal with Liverpool for a midfielder. I mean, make that make sense. You know, he's doing a deal with the Glazers to keep the Glazers, and now he's selling one of his best players from Nice to Liverpool. I mean, and don't tell me that he can't stop that deal. Of course he can bloody stop the deal. He owns the fucking club. You know, I was reading that last week and I was thinking it's a bit fanciful, really, to say, well, Sir Jim is selling one of his best players to Liverpool. But actually, when you look at it, Sir Jim Radcliffe is selling one of his best players to Liverpool. Yes, he is. So, yeah. Hi, Mark. Is there a possibility that the Glazers have used Radcliffe as a stalker as well, a stalking horse to provoke a bid, says Eric? Well, we'll just have to wait and see. Enrique, welcome to Members Club, and Taco as well. Busy show this morning. Thanks everyone who's getting involved. But look, I guess that at the moment, everything is just the roller coaster, isn't it? Some people don't want to get on the roller coaster, but in 2 days' time, we might be really excited and on a high. And then today, we're all a bit on a low, because that's just how transfer windows at United work. And it's how many highs you're going to get compared to how many lows. Why have we not moved on Mason Mount? Shane Wood, welcome to the Members Club. Is because Mason Mount is our main target that Eric Ten Hag wants. And because we've got bad negotiators, we will take as long as it takes on this deal to either get bent over or walk away or get the player. And we will take ages on it. I mean, what you forget is that Richard Arnold and John Murta flew to Barcelona and walked around like a couple of prats and came back with nothing. John Murta flew to Turin and came back with nothing. Like, we're not good negotiators. I don't know why people pretend that we're good at transfers. We're not. Just because you spend money doesn't mean you're good at transfers. And some of our fans wrongly think that because we spent over 200 million last summer, we had a good summer. We didn't have a good summer. Ten Hag got some good players in, but we massively overpaid and we did it very, very late. We're not good at negotiations. So a logical football club would know that Mason Mount's not gettable for a decent price and we would have walked away. But have we got a decent director of football that's going to say to Ten Hag, we're not wasting 2 months on this deal and then paying too much? We've got too much to do here, Eric. You need to go for we need option 2. Who is option 2? But I don't think United will do that. If Eric Ten Hag gets the players he wants, I no longer care, says Keel. And Brad, welcome to the Members Club. Well, one player that he might get that he doesn't want, and I will just put this up so you know that where it's coming from. Harry Maguire isn't keen on leaving Manchester United this summer, despite a big decrease in playing time. So this is coming from Alex Crook from TalkSport. It came out in the sort of last half an hour. And basically, what he's saying is that Harry Maguire is reluctant to leave Manchester United and feels that his race is not run yet at Manchester United. Harry Maguire needs to take the hint, says Lloyd. Hope Eric Ten Hag sits him down and tells him you're not part of my plans. Again, boils down to piss poor negotiations. Koku to Benfica is just icing on the cake on Man United's recruitment team, says Rashid. I think in relation to Harry Maguire, and I make no apologies about this, I would sell him. I don't think he's good enough, and I think it's been proven this season that he's not good enough. But Christopher says, remember the fake Spanish solicitors? Yes. That was Herrera, wasn't it? I think with Maguire, and there might be other players like this, McTominay could be like this, Brandon Williams, I don't know, I'm just throwing names out there of players that need to move on that might not move on. And why would they not move on? We're Manchester United. Manchester United, I get loads of publicity. I get loads of brand interest. My ego is massaged. If I go and play for West Ham or Spurs, I won't be as popular as I am at Man United. So I want to stay here, and I'm on 200 grand a week. And actually, Harry Maguire is set to get a pay rise. Not because he contributed massively to the Champions League, but because it's in his contract that if you're in the Champions League, you get a pay rise. So Harry Maguire is probably sat there going, well, he's his own biggest fan anyway because he's got nothing to prove. He's probably thinking if he goes on a few extra runs this summer, he'll come back and get his place back from Varane or Martinez or Lindelof or Kim Min-jae if we sign him. So he probably believes that he's going to win his place back. He thinks he's Rocky Balboa, He's going to wake up in the morning with a big pint glass, put a few eggs in it, and start running up some steps. Or he's just not very ambitious. He's 30 years of age. His family is settled wherever he lives. He's got a nice house. He's playing for England still. He earns 200 grand a week. He'll get a few games in the Carabao Cup. Somebody might get injured. He might get a bit more game time. He's got nothing left to prove. I think that I think this was always going to happen. And maybe Harry Maguire's a bad example of it. Maybe there are other players, but it's the Rojo effect. We've had it with loads of players. They're on too much money. They're not good enough. Bad negotiations, bad signings, and you want to get rid of them, but they don't want to go. We spoke about it last week, didn't we? We need players at this football club that are ambitious and are knocking on the door to leave the club because they're not getting game time. How many players out of Fred, Maguire, Brandon Williams, Scott McTominay, Jadon Sancho, I don't know, there are others, Dean Henderson, I suppose, Eric Bailly, Alex Telles, maybe even Martial. How many of those players are knocking on the door this summer to Ten Hag saying, if I'm not going to get game time, I want to go? And I guarantee you not half of them. Because half of them will be going, I'm on good money here. Let them solve the problem. Well, that just shows you've got the wrong type of players. I want players that knock on the door. I want players that knock on the door and say, I want to go. And I think that what you've got there is a player that the penny hasn't dropped, has it? The penny hasn't dropped that ultimately the manager doesn't rate you that much because you're fourth choice centre-back. And you might be fifth choice if we buy another centre-back. So I think the way to solve this problem is, first of all, highlight the problem. You've got players who are happy to sit here and coast. But secondly, let the penny drop. I'd be speaking to Gareth Southgate if I was Erik Ten Hag, and I'd be saying, while he's on England duty, it might be worth having a chat with him and telling him that next year he won't be fourth choice, he'll be fifth choice because I'm looking for another centre-back. Let Southgate tell him that you're not going to get any game time next year, Harry, and I can't pick you, so you're not going to go to the Euros. When he comes back, you sign Kim Min-jae or another centre-back. If he won't take the hint, basically put a sign up. Because it's ridiculous. Like, you're 30 years of age, you should want to play football. Glazers were hanging by a thread and Sir Jim threw him a lifeline. It's disgusting, says Brian. Whoop whoop, oil me up, says Roger. Louis, welcome to Members Club. Trina as well. Football Maniac TV says, really enjoyed the Dublin show. Travelled from the north to see you. Keep up the good work, says Football Maniac. Thank you, mate. And if you are a member as well, so you'll be able to watch it back. It's coming out this afternoon. I'm going to put it up on the members section, so watch out for that. Our Dublin show will be up on YouTube on our members section this afternoon. We notice a drop in performance with our centre-back paired with Maguire. We thought Lindelof was no different from him, but Lindelof feels more free, says Nace. Well, I was thinking about this the other day, actually. If you think about last season, and I'm not really one for season reviews, it's over. Oliver's been a member for 9 months. Thank you, Oliver. I'm not really one for season reviews, but one thing I will say is this. When you think about Manchester United and you think about last season under Ollie and Ranić, and then you think about this season under Ten Hag, obviously it comes down to a bit of recruitment, a lot of good coaching, mentality's changed a little bit, but also remember that last season it was McFred and Magaluf. This season Maguire's gone out, Varane's come in, Martinez has come in, and Casemiro's come in. You replace Maguire, Lindelof, McTominay and Fred with Casemiro, Varane and Martinez, and look at what's happened. We've had 17 clean sheets, we've only conceded 9 at home, and we finished third in the league. The reason United are where they are this season is because we've got rid of Maguire, we've got rid of McTominay, we've got rid of Fred. I know they've played some games, but the vast majority, our success has been Casemiro, Varane and Martinez. That's the story of the season. Oh, of course, Rashford's won the accolades, he's scored goals, Bruno's played well, De Gea's kept a load of clean sheets, the fullbacks, Luke Shaw's been fantastic, but ultimately, removing Maguire, Lindelof, McTominay and Fred, and bringing in Casemiro, Martinez and Varane, has made this season what it is. Mark, remember last week I said Sir Jim is making a 5th bid and you was like, head drop. Apparently now Glazers are having in-depth talks with Sir Jim at Old Trafford, says A1. Is it Sir Jim or Sheikh Jazim? SJ could mean two things, A11. DJ, welcome to Members Club. Vajek as well, and Paul. Let's have a quick look. I don't know what the SJ stands for. I presume it might be Sheikh Jazim, actually. Sir Jim, probably not. But we do need we do need a bit of movement here. Somebody said, are you going to talk about the Costa story? Costa from Porto to Manchester United, basically is coming in from Portugal. It makes no sense because we haven't got the money to bid for Declan Rice at the moment. So, look, I'm not opposed to Man United signing Costa. I think he's the best option out there. Charlon, welcome to the Members Club. Hassan as well. Siva and Andy, thank you very much. I'm not opposed to Manchester United signing Costa. He's a very good goalkeeper. There's no doubt. There's no doubt about it. But logically, I won't entertain it because it will cost 60 million quid. We can't even afford to buy the midfielders that we want. So it doesn't make any sense. Look, I'm not even going to entertain it. It doesn't make any sense to have that amount of money for a goalkeeper when you haven't got that amount of money for other key positions. So, and also it's coming in from Portuguese reports, which, to be honest with you, over the years, we've all established that Portuguese reports are basically the Harry Maguire of centre-back world, isn't it? They're not reliable. Glenny Boy says, please, Glazers and Harry Maguire, take the hint. Just go walk out the door. Don't turn around now because you're not welcome anymore, says Glenny. There we go. Talking about Harry's, Harry Kane for United, says Fearless Plays. So, in relation to Harry Kane, it's a news show, so I have to bring you the news and then I'll give you the opinion on it. The story with Harry Kane at the moment is that Real Madrid looked really interesting because Benzema wasn't a player that they were able to go for. Benzema left Real Madrid, so that sort of made Harry Kane to Real Madrid quite interesting. But Spanish reports are now saying that there's no way that Real Madrid will move Harry Kane because the fee that Spurs want is just unappetizing. So effectively, that means that Harry Kane is back staying in the Premier League. And if he's going to leave Spurs in the Premier League, it would be Manchester United. I'm not an expert in the Harry Kane deal. I've always had a hunch that he would come to Manchester United. But I think that John says, why don't we go for Neves from Wolves? I think with Harry Kane, it's become very, very clear that Spurs' stance is to do something that would frustrate me massively as a Spurs fan. It's not about football. It's about ego. It's about we're not letting him go. Even with a year left on his deal and the fact that we are total shit, we are not going to let him go. Even though we're not in Europe and, this is a guy that's given everything to this football club, we're not going to let him go. And I think that's the story. And I think Kane's probably going to stay at Spurs for another year. He was part of the kit launch the other day. I think that's the stance of Spurs. It's not logical. It makes zero sense. It's just pure business stubbornness. And that's what it is, because he will leave for free next summer. And what benefit will he be to Spurs next year? They're not going to get in the Champions League spots. Even with these goals, they won't do it. They're going to go through a transitional year, and they're basically going to keep a player that won't be here longer than a year, who's a world-class striker, who you could have took 100 million for or 80 million for, and they're not going to do it. So the Harry Kane deal for me, it's nowhere near as tiresome as the sale of Manchester United, but it's just, I look at it and I go, that's, even if he wasn't a player we were looking at and it was Liverpool trying to sign him, I'd still look at it pragmatically and go, what are Spurs doing? Like, he's got 1 year left on his deal. He will not sign a new one. You are not in the Champions League. You are not in Europe. You will not qualify for the Champions League or Europe with Harry Kane. Your team is going through transition. You've appointed a manager that I just don't think is going to take you anywhere near the top six at any point. And actually, that player is going to walk out the door in a year's time with zero benefit for you, really. And you're going to lose about 80, 100 million quid. Like, his goals next season are going to be the difference between 9th and 7th. They're not going to be the difference between, 5th and 4th. So I don't really get what Spurs are doing. But I think United need to move on to different plans. Mark, as a last resort, can you put Jim Sir Radcliffe to win the bid 90% club, says Surab? I would like to if I knew it was a jinx. Andre, thank you very much. But I've put George has gifted 10 memberships. I don't know whether we spoke about that. Thank you, George. I would like to put look, I put Mason Mount in the 90% club, and I do think United will get that deal done. It doesn't mean it's not going to happen. It's just the negotiation side of things, isn't it? I think we're going to be negotiating for a long time. And a few people said, what's happening with Mason Mount? Well, shall I give you the update on Mason Mount? Mason Mount now resides in a familiar process that we're all aware and we can all label. It's the Maguire process. It's the Paul Pogba process. It's the Anthony process. It's the Bruno Fernandes process. It's the Jadon Sancho process. What are these processes? This is when we know United are going to buy a player. We're initially quite excited. And then somewhere between a month and 2 months from now, that deal will get done. But it will take a long time. And we know that's what's going to happen with Mason Mount now. It's just going to be suck every little bit out of this deal of joy, get ripped off by the club that we're going to buy from, and eventually he will be a United player. And I think that's what's going to happen with Mason Mount. I think he's fell into the same trap that we fall into with anybody, where we will not get this done quickly and we will get absolutely, rinsed by Chelsea. I might be completely wrong. Maybe we'll announce the deal tomorrow, but I guarantee if we do, it'll be for stupid money. So, yeah, I just think with Mason Mount, it's going to drag on and on and on, and we're going to be dancing to the tune of Chelsea, just like we danced to the tune of Leicester for Maguire, just like we danced to the tune of Palace for Wan-Bissaka. We danced to the tune of Ajax for Anthony, and Dortmund for Sancho, and Lisbon for Bruno, and Juventus for Pogba. We're not, like CGI says, it's not going to change. We're just going to dance to the tune of Chelsea now. Savage says Mount's not worth the drama though. Well, whether the deal's exciting to you or not, that's the glory of opinion, isn't it? From my point of view, it shocked me. I do think he's a good player, but this is Ten Hag. This is who Ten Hag wants. Maybe it's not what you want. I certainly don't want to pay what Chelsea want for him, but this is what Ten Hag wants, and effectively that's what I expect to see. Okay, I'm just having a quick look here. Thuram, we've spoken about to Liverpool. I'm not massively bothered about Thuram going to Liverpool, apart from the fact that he's a Nice player, and you'd think that the guy that's going to buy our club wouldn't be strengthening others. But Manu Kone is a player I do like, and the fact that Liverpool are in for him does bother me a little bit. I like Manu Kone. If Liverpool get him, I think that's a really good signing. Well, yeah, I say a good signing. Players don't always fulfill their potential. You look at like Renato Sanchez and Frank Kessie. These are two players that you looked at in the last few years and you went, oh, I'd love them at Man United. It's not worked out. So, not everybody works out. Everybody thinks every transfer is going to work. But what about Declan Rice as Huey? Well, I think Arsenal there. What's the department after 5 years of Glazers, says Bjorn. And Amrabat Mark, says Giovanni. Well, yeah, we've been linked to him. I'm not a big on Amrabat, to be honest. I'm not. I know he's played well in some games that have been well televised, but we keep being linked to him, says Thomas. I'm not that big on him. I really don't think that he is the quality that Manchester United should be looking at. I think there's better players out there. And I don't think it's the sort of deal that Arsenal or Man City are going to look at and go, oh my God, Man United have gone and bought Amrabat. I don't think that is the sort of signing that's going to move the scales. I really don't. I think he would have to come in and go up a level, really. And you'd be relying on Ten Hag, the developer, which we know can work. But at some point he's going to get things wrong as well. Ten Hag is going to get something wrong very, very soon on transfers, because if you go through the history of football, any manager, Pep Guardiola, Sir Alex Ferguson, Carlo Ancelotti, Jose Mourinho, you go through every transfer they've done. I mean, it's actually, I used to do this stuff at work when I hated my job. I loved getting paid to not work and do stuff I wanted to do. So I'd sit there at work and I'd go on the internet, I'd write it all out and on a big piece of paper, and I'd give it a mark out of 10, and then I'd work out the percentage. Now, that'll get rid of a whole morning if you're bored. Just don't let your boss see. If you're doing it on your computer, just do the old Alt-Tab thing. And you know, if you went through every Pep signing, every Sir Alex signing, and you marked it out of 10, I guarantee by the end of it, if you just take the ones that are 7 out of 10 and above, that will be no more than 60%. What I'm trying to say is, if every signing of every manager, they'll have a 60% hit rate. 40% of them will either be average or flops. So Ten Hag's going to buy bad at some point, because I don't think Malacia's a bad signing. I don't think Eriksen's a bad signing. I think Anthony, we still wait, but I think will be a good signing. And Casemiro and Martinez have been very good signings. So his strike rate at the moment is well above, I would say, 70%. So, you know, he's going to buy bad at some point, and that's something that you've got to bear in mind. Some people would say, well, he's about to do it with Mason Mount. So, FaZe, welcome to the Members Club. At the moment, United, but that works both ways, because that will work for Arteta, it will work for Klopp. Not everyone McAllister might not work at Liverpool. At the moment, United look like we are going to be doing the last-minute signings for overpriced players we didn't want, says John. Anthony, welcome to the Members Club. Thank you very much. This will keep happening till we sign obvious popular players. We turned down a chance to sign Casido for 4 million or Alvarez for cheap, says Ami. And if we buy Kim Min-jae, does Martinez become a CDM, says Salim? No. Kim Min-jae would be competition for Varane, who has injury issues himself. So I think Kim Min-jae becomes the succession to Varane. And I think you would rotate between the three of them, but he's more right-sided, Kim Min-jae. I love the community and the content. I feel more connected to the club and the fans thanks to Mark and the United Stand team, says Ali. Might go to future live shows. Looks fun, says Ali. Thank you very much. Welcome to the Members Club, Carl. Well, don't forget, in relation to our live show, we are live. We did a live show in Dublin on Tuesday night. If you are a member of the channel, like Leon Football and a few other people, we are uploading that for you this afternoon. It's a 2-hour show, and there was an interval. So what I'll probably do is upload the first half for you this afternoon, and then we'll upload the second one in a couple of days' time. But I've been playing it back, and it's good. It's well worth a watch. So give it a watch. What do you think is going to happen next? Sale or a signing? I don't know. Nibbin says, when are you on TalkSport with Simon? Mate, you know, he can be Gary Neville or he can be Brave. Like, at the end of the day, Goldbridge is available. You know, Goldbridge is always available for these types of chats. So if Simon Jordan wants a chat, you know, I've said it with Gary, you know, anybody else, we're at that level where if you want it, come and get it. We've got the community. We've got the numbers. Give it a go. We're ready for it. But I won't be holding my breath on anything like that. But it, you know, we're ready for it. If Jim wants to own the club outright in the future, why invest now? Which will add value to the Glazers' shares. It will cost him more this way, and it doesn't add up, says Graham. It's never added up, has it? There's something sinister. Yeah, there's something sinister going on. But yeah, I don't believe the Costa story. Few people are talking about that. We will, of course, always get into a situation. Here's a new story for you from Build. Erik ten Hag has vetoed the sale of Victor Lindelof to Eintracht Frankfurt. A deal for the player was already bagged in January before ten Hag vetoed the move. Yeah. Well, that's a good thing. That's a good thing, because I don't... Vetoed means stopped, by the way. Some people are like, what does veto mean? Does it mean good or bad? No, that's a good thing. We don't want to see Victor Lindelof sold. But what I suspect might happen is Victor Lindelof might bang on the door this morning or next week and say, I want to go. I think in Victor Lindelof, you've got a different character to Harry Maguire. I think Harry Maguire obviously by the sounds of it, doesn't want to go. Whereas Victor Lindelof, who's been playing more, will knock on the door and say, look, what's my future? Because when Varane's back, and if you buy a centre-back, I don't want to be fourth choice. So, I want Lindelof to stay, but it's good that Maguire wants him to stay as well. Hi, Mark. I got a feeling that Kane will go to Newcastle instead of United, or are there any other players we might hijack, says Guantanamina. Ajax players. Oh, I don't know about Ajax players, mate. I don't know. Anyway, look, thanks everyone for watching. Really enjoyed the show this morning. What we got rest for you there? Well, 8 o'clock show on a Friday night is always really good. Don't forget, if you're a member, this afternoon we're going to get up the first part of the tour show from Dublin, so watch out for that on the members section. I'll put up a community tab when it goes out, by the way, so just keep an eye on the channel. We normally put something up at 2 o'clock, but we're obviously going to react to whatever happens. There will be an update on the sale today. I suspect it might be an update where we keep going. There's no decision yet, but we'll see. Thanks everyone for watching. Make sure you smash a like